Hello everyone, Corey Mitchell with TradeThatSwing.com, and just a couple things that I want to create a little reminder of for myself. So these videos are basically for me. If you get something out of them, great, but they're really for me to document things that I'm noticing. And so when something happens during the week that I really like, I try to document it. So I really imprint those patterns that I really like. If I see something else that is of interest to me and I would maybe like to add in as start to take some of those trades, I also document those. If I come up with a new reason to sell or enter, then that's where I kind of document this as well. So a really good day today. I came in a little biased thinking that it's a semi-type holiday, Black Friday. The market could be a little quiet. So I came in a bit protective. Lately I've been working on holding trades, and today I came in with a bit more of a mentality of, let's hit it, get out. It could quiet down at any time. It didn't. The whole morning was very active. Lots of big trends. Could have made probably a lot more if I kept trading, and also, well, I wouldn't have made too much more on my trails. There were a couple, like this one. So green arrows are ones I saw either at the time or just after, but either was in something else. And then these ones with the little risk reward box are the ones I took. So I'm pretty happy with the trades I took overall. Like, I did miss a couple big runners, of course. But this is just a beautiful pattern I trade. The TC, just strong move up, little pullback, starts running up, and really nice. Same with this one. This one's a little bit more of a consolidation, but pops up, consolidates a little bit, forms a nice little ledge, and it's like, okay, if it starts running up above that ledge, I'm interested in. I took this one actually a little tiny bit early. Just because I want it to be in, and sometimes it's tough to get shares once it's already running. But that can sometimes hurt you, like this one. I took just a little bit early, and it did one of those little wicks and then straight up for a quick loss. So, it's that balancing act of when to hit it, and usually I would say I'm in a tiny bit late. I actually prefer to wait just a little bit, but this one I really like just because of the strong movement. The daily chart was looking good as we opened up here, and we're starting to move back above the prior day high. So I like that. What I really wanted to document today was this pattern right here. So really strong move up. We have a pullback. So this is kind of a deeper pullback, scarier to just take a TC. It's not quite like this or like this. It's much deeper. You're starting to think like, ooh, sellers are kind of stepping in pretty hard there. They might not just be able to bounce the price up higher right away. So you get this kind of fizzling out of the downtrend. So this is what I call a complex pullback, where this is a simple pullback. It's like very quick move down or a very simple move down, and then it moves directly up. This is move down, moves up, moves down, consolidates a little bit. And if you broke it down even further, it's like drop, move up, drop, little move up, bigger drop, consolidates. So it's becoming more complex, right? So in this situation, I may not take the TC. I opted not to. And I was watching this, and it drops here. So it's been chopping around here for, these are 2-minute candles. So, 20 minutes. And then it's like, okay, if it drops, it might have a bigger run, and it just doesn't, and it fizzles out right away. So this is interesting. We're still holding. I haven't been super watching VWAP, volume weighted average price. I've kept it on there to see if I like using it. I almost forget it's there when I'm actually trading because I'm just looking at the price action, but it does seem somewhat relevant in that if I'm buying above VWAP or shorting below VWAP, generally, that's seems to be an okay indicator. And that's of course not the only indicator I would use. I would not just buy randomly when it's above VWAP or short randomly when it's below VWAP. We need specific patterns. But this, yeah, this big slowing down, and then once it starts to ramp up out of this little consolidation, so maybe an entry in around here, I just got to figure out how exactly I want to work. So in this type of situation where it's already running, where would the stop loss go? Down here. This one's a little bit easier. So same pattern repeating, just wrote a note on this, drop, little pop, drop, which quickly gets erased, and then we start to have this little upward push, a higher swing low, and it's like, okay, if we start pushing up, we're still in this overall move up, even though we had this complex pullback. So maybe an entry in here. This one's pretty easy, stop loss below there, pretty small stop loss. But on one like this, if it doesn't run up very quick and it chops around, ideally I would like my stop loss down there. So that might be an assessment play on my part. Like maybe I only do this when I get my small stop loss. And if I can't, then maybe I just let it go, basically like what I'm doing now. But add in something like this where I can get a small stop loss. I've seen the down move slowing. We're still in an overall uptrend even though we had this complex pullback. So this is of great interest to me, and I think especially I'm trying to maybe push my trading day out a little bit. So I'm starting a bit later just because of life and kids leaving for school. So I'm starting at about 9:45 Eastern and looking at probably trading into 11, maybe as late as 11:30. And this becomes more relevant because we see more of this type of action, a little bit more complex. We're not getting the super fast moves like we did at the open, like we see here. So we get to see kind of more of this, a little bit more complex price action the later in the day we trade. Then it tends to pick up in movement again toward the close. But that middle section of the day, kind of outside the first hour or so, we tend to get a little bit more of this, or this kind of more complex double pump type stuff. And so yeah, this would just be a good way to add some R's in to to capture this. I wasn't in, this is an opportunity to capture. So that's what I'm always looking at. Where are moves that I'm not capturing, and is there a way for me to capture them? Like based on like this, I can kind of see we have some slowing. We're starting to push to the upside. We're in an overall uptrend. To me, it's very simple to see that. And so it's like, okay, why am I not taking advantage of that? Fine tune it a little bit. I don't do a ton of back testing. I might look through some historical charts, but basically if I like this idea, I will incorporate it as a potential entry rule and then use my exit rules. There's entry rules, exit rules, and I'll start using those to trade these. What else was there? I took an exit based on the price approaching daily, it's kind of higher end of its daily range. So this was the low of the day. So this is the first candle of the day. And if we go from the low there to where I put my target, it's right about 13%. So if we go to the daily chart, we can see IONQ has a pretty stable daily average range lately. It's kind of the last, going back to like, we had a bigger spike on earnings, but other than that, basically since early November, we're pretty much like kind of a lower movement days, 9%. Most of these days are moving about 13, 14, 15%, that area. And that's from the high to the low of the day. So in real time, this is getting calculated from the low to the high. And then each of these prior days, it's the low to the high as a percentage. And so that just kind of gives me an idea of how much price is typically moving. So I was in a nice run here. And again, remember my bias. Biases really affect our trading because I was thinking, let's hit it. I've been working on trying to hold through pullbacks and stuff. But today, pseudo holiday, let's stick with what I know, play a little more conservative, and just, you know, get what I think I can get out of a trade. No need to hang on, since days like this can often flatten out pretty quick. The same thing will happen around Christmas. I usually go in with a very, things could be flat, so if I see an opportunity, it's like, just get some money and get out of there. It's not a time to like hold for the huge move, because there's just fewer traders generally. And so yeah, that's, whether it's a good bias or not, I don't know. Today I would say it was okay. This, yeah, so I was just looking at a target, and we're already up quite a bit on the day, and I was like, well, if it runs another, after the entry, how much is that? Yeah, so I was in this for about 4.5%. So yeah, I was up 9% already when I took this, I think. From the day low to when I took that, yeah, up about 8 to 8.5%. So it's, once we start pushing up into that 15% range, that's usually kind of the daily max for the movement of this type of stock. So I started looking at that, and I haven't decided if I'm going to fully incorporate it, but it was a reason for this exit. My exit, if I had just trailed it up, you know, with this pullback, then this pullback, you know, would have got it out right about there anyway. So it would have ended up about the same, but I'll look at it as I'm trading and see if it seems viable. I'll also probably go back and look through some recent charts and see. There is some subjectivity to it though, because we can look at the average, but then something like this, so like Paladine, we can see it's had like these crazy moves lately. Same with a lunar. So there's kind of the average, but then we can also see there's these huge spikes and also some little quieter days. So it might be too subjective to really use, but I don't mind it, just kind of keeping it in the back of my mind a little bit, and, you know, noticing if we're getting toward an extreme for the type of a stock, and maybe there's nothing really going on the daily. I don't know why that's an hourly. Yeah, maybe there's nothing really going on the daily, and there's no news or anything. I don't usually check the news too much, but, you know, if something's really going crazy, maybe I'll just pop the news tab open and see if there's something going on. I don't care what the news is, I just want to know if there's news, because then that changes the context a little bit, where maybe the stock typically moves 15% a day, but now we have some news and we could move a lot more. So just something to be aware of. But those were the main things I wanted to document for myself. These videos, again, mostly for myself. If you get something out of them, great. But just to note things that I like. So I like these types of trades. But I also like the idea of adding in some of these, because some days are a little bit more complex than just these. These do occur very often. Bread and butter type trade. There's another one. But yeah, if there's movement that I could potentially be in on, that I can rationally see myself being able to get in on, then I want to take advantage of those. So I definitely like these patterns to look into adding to the arsenal as well.